The two-session series is part of an initiative called TechSaksham, which is a project set up primarily for MSMEs to become tech-enabled, for some digitally mature, for some to know the tools of upgrading their skills, their units with the latest technologies, and the know-how of technology deployment. On TechSaksham, we are partnered with various technology solution providers, and today's session is in partnership with Dell, as you all know, who are the project partners to CII TechSaksham as well. With this short brief, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our faculty for today's session. We have with us Mr. Praveen Kumar. He is the Marketing Manager at Client Solutions, Dell Technologies India. Praveen is the India Product Lead for Commercial Mobility Products in Dell Technologies. He has been associated with Dell for more than 12 years. He's a client technology evangelist for customers, helping them adopt best technologies and strategy via workforce transformation, and is also responsible for introducing new mobility products for commercial customers in India. He also, is involved with understanding trends and evolving employee productivity challenges. So that was a short brief about our faculty today. Before I ask Praveen to start, may I make a quick announcement? May I request all participants to note that this is the session is a one-way communication from CII. However, participants are free to key in their questions, queries in the chat window anytime during the presentation. All questions will be responded during the Q&A session that would follow the presentation. The kind of format we are following, there will be initial presentation of 35-40 minutes, followed by the question answer session for around 15 to 20 minutes. If any question remains unanswered due to time constraints, the same would be clarified by email, so you can write into us. So may I, on behalf of participants, extend a warm welcome to Praveen and invite him to take over the session. Over to you, Praveen.
Thank you, Subhash. I hope I'm audible to you guys.
Yes, very much.
And visible too.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me to the session. It gives me a great pleasure to share what's happening around the industry right now and to impart some knowledge we've been learning ourselves from customer scenarios across the country. These are trouble situations, these are challenging situations where everybody is forced to work from home, most of them, at least. And, we were not prepared for it. And, customers look towards technology partners like Dell and, great industry bodies like CII for help and support. And I'm really glad that we are having this session today so that we can share the best practices and experiences in working for a remote workforce solutions. Now, most of you would know that this workforce transformation has been going on for a long, long time. People have been talking about digital transformation, workforce transformation, data center transformation. So what's this all about? The workforce transformation is getting to enable your employees to work as productive as possible, immaterial of wherever they are. That was the original concept of workforce transformation. And in this time of COVID, where everybody is working from remote, it automatically synced with that particular strategy. And then customers realized that, hey, we were delaying this for longer, and suddenly, it has come and it's been forced to us. Might as well take this as a good strategy to implement. And what we've seen is a lot of companies today in India and across global countries have taken remote workplace or flexible workplace, as I would like to call that as, because you need to be able to work anywhere, whether you are from home or you're sitting in a cafeteria, you're sitting in a barista, or from your office. You need to be able to give you 100% productivity. And if you are a decision maker in your company, then you should be able to get that 100% productivity from your employees. So what are the certain best practices which has come out during this challenging times when people were not prepared for it? We've been doing this for almost 10 years. Dell started doing workforce transformation or remote workplace enablement, or as I would call it as flexible workplace for the last 10 years. So currently, we believe that there is no better partner in the industry today more than Dell Technologies to help you out because we've done it on ourselves. Without much further ado, let me share with you the certain key traits of the workforce transformation. Right? What should you really keep in mind? What does workforce transformation actually mean? It is basically enabling technology to help people deliver the work they want to do, right? And how they wanted to get it out. Improving productivity, rapidly managing it, enhancing the security is very, very important. A lot of companies did not take care of this while switching over to a laptop or giving mobility devices to their employees during this lockdown situation. And security was the last strategy in mind. First of all, continuation of business was important. Now, most importantly, this is an era of millennials. This is a country of millennials. Young people are dominating the workforce today. So you need to be able to satisfy with the right technology. Industry experts, who have done a lot of survey, they say more than 70% of the respondents of a survey are actually saying that they will quit a company if that company does not give them the right technology enablement to do the productivity which is expected out of them. So to give the right devices or the right solution, the right technology ecosystem and the framework is very, very important, as good as your productivity expectations. Let's see how you can try and get this out. So you need to balance workforce transformation, and this is a bit of complex requirement. Now, understand there's nearly 7 full work days it takes probably to deploy thousands of devices. Now, imagine a situation now you are moving away from your office and you have to enable your employees to work from home. And you have started provisioning new devices for them, new laptops or new mobility devices. It takes minimum 7 full working days to set up a 1,000-device network immaterial of however sophisticated management console you may have. So that is a big concern right now in the industry. How do I reach out to each and everybody's house? How do I send an engineer to everybody's house to probably install my software, to probably get the machine delivered? That's a big concern right now because nobody is returning back to office anytime sooner. 53% of the IT leaders, they're struggling to keep up with the increasing diversity of devices. You may enable bring your own device concept. You can allow your employees to bring ask them to bring their own device to the work environment. Somebody will come with a Linux operating system, somebody with Windows, some with a Macintosh operating system. You don't know what kind of configuration is standardized for them. So in these kind of situations, what is really required? How do we make sure that the company information is containerized from the personal information? They don't club together so that the security threat doesn't cross over, right? ITDMs, IT decision makers today spend about 25% of the time only in monitoring and troubleshooting. Now, this is the last pain which you would really aspire to have. This is the one solution which you need to probably trust a big partner like Dell Technologies and get this away from your desk. Leave the monitoring, troubleshooting, management, or as we call it in the industry famously, keeping the lights on. So that shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be how can we enable IT as a business enabler? How do I transform IT to get more profits and revenue for the company rather to keep the IT live and running, right? So let's see how we can establish this. Immediate productivity is very, very important. So you need to look into a professional deployment with a unified workspace concept, right? It's not only about the devices, but the entire cycle or the life cycle of a PC or a device that needs to be taken care, right? From the time of deployment to managing the PC to monitoring it for any kind of an issue till the time you retire it after 3-4 years, you need to manage the life cycle. The first stage obviously comes in deployment of these devices. What's happening in the industry today? Everybody is following a traditional deployment, more or less. What does traditional deployment mean? That you as a company, you place an order to an original equipment manufacturer or an OEM like Dell Technologies today. You place an order, we return the material from the factory to your office, it goes to your head office, Your IT administrator probably, installs your customs image or the software which is required, and then it is given to the end user, repacked, unpacked many times, and then it goes to the end user. As I said, it takes approximately 1,000 devices, almost 7 working days to get it fully done if you have at least 10 or 15 people working on it. Now, this is completely manual. The configuration, deployment, everything is hands-on. You need to have physical presence. It takes a long time to set up this process. And there are multiple touch points from the time you initiate an order till the time the end user gets the actual device. That's the traditional deployment. In this situation, we need to be more agile, more flexible. This is not something what we would like to have. What does it transform into? It transforms into modern deployment. Modern deployment is very simple. You place an order, the OEM like Dell ships directly the PC to the end user. All he needs to do is log in, switch it on, log in using his ID and password, which has been given by his company, and then connect to internet. Voila. Everything gets downloaded from the internet through the cloud system, or through probably Azure, or through Workspace ONE, or through any other management console on the cloud. Whatever profile access he needs, what application he needs, what is the user privileges, what access right he needs, everything is pre-configured and downloaded when he switches on the button. So instead of taking 7 full working days, it just takes a few minutes for him to get up and running. So we call it day zero productivity, right? Right from the time it gets delivered to his residence address or wherever he's based out of, he can start using the machine immediately. So the first challenge for any company today is to transform the traditional deployment to modern deployment. There are best practices available in the industry. You can look at unified workspace ONE solutions where everything is together, or you can look at technologies available in the market from other companies like Microsoft, which has Azure Cloud, and you can host your ADS in Azure. And we have autopilot enabled on the devices. So all you need to ask any of your OEM or any of your IT vendor is that, can I have the device with Windows 10 autopilot enabled? Once you do that, you on the back end, on the data center, you can tag the device to the configuration or the application or the access rights. You configure everything, upload it in the cloud. And once the user gets the device, once he logs in is using his ID and password, he gets everything what he needs. So there is absolutely no manual intervention. All you need to do is just release an order, right? So it shifts actually the focus of your IT department from a deployment to a strategical role, which is the need of the hour, how to enable IT to be a business enabler, right? The last thing you want is to your manpower in IT to spend enough time to deploy or install and configure, troubleshoot, and so on and so forth. More so ever, it actually cuts down the lead time for the new devices. You place an order, it directly goes to the end user wherever he's in India, whichever pin code he might be in, and you don't have to recycle the logistics all over again. Software policy settings are actually loaded at the factory level or at the cloud level, whichever enablement you would like to prefer, and shipped directly to the end user, right? It can also include custom deployment solutions. For example, when he switches on his laptop, your company logo appears in front of it. You may be onboarding a new employee today. Your company may be, for example, in Mumbai as in headquarters. You're onboarding an employee somewhere in Calcutta or Bhubaneswar, right? And he has not visited your office physically. He doesn't need to. Today, internships, employees or temporary employees are joining from anywhere in India. So when you want to relate to their experience of being affiliated to that company, you can do a flash logo on your laptop, on your desktop, whatever device you may select. The moment he switches on, he does not see the OEM logo, he sees your company's logo, right? It gives you the personal connect as well. Now, from a deployment, another core strategy which companies should adopt towards is the trusted security option, which is very, very important. Now, you may provision any device, a very powerful machine, but if you don't have the right security in place, it's going to be really, really difficult because it can bring down your entire company's information, data center, network, and put your company in ransom for some time. What's happening in the market today? Now, if you notice, almost all of the threats which are happening, like ransomware or malware or adware, whatever it is, it's almost all is originating from the endpoint device and not from the data center. It all takes for one employee to open one unsolicited mail to get your company's IT network down, right? So that's something we need to avoid. So security is at most important. And as I said, the most vulnerable part in your infrastructure is basically the endpoint device. So how do we protect them, right? And industry experts also say that it takes almost 108 days for actually an attack to happen. It's been working in your laptop, in your company's network for almost 108 days. This is an average figure. 3 months, it reads your infrastructure. It understands, what your company's policies are. It works its way around it, and finally, on day 0, it lands up and completely brings your infrastructure down. So you need to be able to predict and prevent at the same time. The user behavior, 72% of the end user are actually sharing confidential data externally. This is happening as we speak, right? So how much of a policy you do, you cannot control each and every email. I mean, there are security solutions available, but not many companies are adapting towards it. So survey says 72% of the users today are actually sharing confidential data outside the company environment. So this is a great risk. And in terms of security resources, we are hugely shortage in terms of the security professionals, right? And the survey says by 2021, next year, 3.5 million security professionals are required. So it's a great time to upskill so many of your IT administrators as well. So it poses a new challenge. It creates a new challenge. How do we deal with it, right? From an endpoint device, it's most important. I told you it's very vulnerable amongst the entire infrastructure. From an endpoint device, I would request you to look into 3 different things. One is something called a safe ID, right? Now, you may enable your users probably to use fingerprint reader or biometric recognition, like a facial recognition through Windows 10 Hello. Everything is good. It gives you great productivity. But what if that data is actually compromised or somebody steals or hacks into that data? So, we propagate a technology in the market today, something called a safe ID or a control vault. What happens is the credentials and the most critical data is actually stored in a chip within the device, and it cannot be hacked. It's not at a software layer, it is at the hardware layer, and everything is containerized and locked out, right? Nobody gains access to it. And if you're moving to a new machine, you'll have to reconfigure this all over again. So that's something called safe ID. Safe BIOS is very, very important. Most of us understand what a BIOS is. It's basic input-output system, which actually dictates how the computer should work. So that is also vulnerable. If a hacker gets access to your BIOS version, he can make sure that the entire device dances to his tunes. He can make sure he can custom program how the device should work, where should it share the data, where it needs to store the data, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things he can do. So it's very, very important to protect your BIOS. How do you need to do that? Not by logging into the machine and straightforward verifying the machine. You need to be able to do outside the host, meaning not within the device, maybe from a cloud or from internet. You should be able to compare the BIOS version which you have got in that device to the BIOS version which has been shipped originally by the company or the OEM from the factory. Only then you will understand whether the integrity is remaining, whether it is stable, or is somebody tweaked it there. If the device is already compromised, there is no point in looking into the BIOS version within the device because it's already compromised. It can make you believe. It happened with one of the car companies in Europe earlier. You must have heard about it. How they managed to change the pollution controls within the system itself, right? So something which is off the host is very, very important. Safe screen, digital privacy screens are very, very important. If your employee is going to work out of a cafeteria or a barista or wherever he is, Starbucks, in the airport, and there is a lot of prying eyes sitting next to him, who may actually access your data. So we used to have this physical filters or physical sheet of films, which you keep it on the laptop or on your computer screen so that only the person who is sitting right 90% angle towards the system is able to see the content. The person who is sitting next to him, he is not able to see the content. All he can see is a dark screen. That's something called a privacy screen, which we spoke about, right? Now, it was an external film, but devices have now got it enabled within the LCD screen itself. With one click of a button, you can transform the LCD into a digital privacy screen. That technology is mostly available in the market today. And most of the companies which has confidential information, they actually enable this as a policy. Data is very, very important. So you need to protect your data as well. You need to be able to prevent, detect, and respond. That's more important, right? Now, detection and response is almost happening with most of the ISVs which are available in the market. But realizing that there could be a threat which will come up after, say, a few days or something is in the work in the cards. Remember the previous slide, we spoke about how an actual threat comes up after 108 days of working inside your network silently, without you realizing that. So preventing proactively is very, very important. So you need to look into next generation antivirus, stop the unknown, not something which has been known elsewhere in industry and it has been now corrected. You should be able to do stop the unknown. Most importantly, we speak about artificial intelligence and machine learning these days in the industry. That's available in almost every single IT solution. So why not include that? And the machine learning actually helps you to understand that this is a malware. This is not actually a good file. This is a bad file. This needs to be taken out of the system immediately. Efficient processing, right? So endpoint detection and response is very, very important. Malware comes in various forms. Ransomware comes in various forms. Again, I repeat, it all takes is one employee to click one unsolicited mail to bring your entire IT infrastructure. So which means you need to have an artificial intelligent eye in terms of your antivirus solutions or security solutions. The most important thing is, how can you get the solution within the device itself? You may be buying a requirement, or you may be procuring your devices from one vendor. You may be buying a security solution from another vendor. You may be buying another solution from the third vendor. So if something happens, what you realize at the end of the day is that this person pointing fingers to the other person, and it goes in multiple circles. So you need to be able to trust one partner who can possibly give you the entire solution in one go. And at the same time, it comes out of the box. As we spoke about, if you're going to employ modern deployment, you're going to send your device directly to the end user. If he's switching on his laptop or the desktop, whatever you ship him out to, that device should have everything pre-enabled at the factory itself. That saves you a lot of trouble, saves you a lot of labor and productivity costs as well. And you get your employees' productivity right from day one, instead of him to wait for the applications to complete installations or software to complete installations and so on and so forth. So we spoke about deployment, we spoke about security. How about manageability? You've got to give this device to your user probably for 3-4 years, right? And we don't know when will we be able to return to office. Even if we return to office today, how about a year later? This is not probably the only pandemic which we will expect now. We need to be ready as well. It could happen round the clock. But if I'm doing this enablement of flexible workplace for your employees, then how do we manage the PC throughout the life cycle of the PC? Could be 3 years, could be 5 years, whatever you define the role to be, right? Most importantly, how can I detect problems in the device while they're occurring or even before they occur, right? Predictive and proactive support, that's more important. And most importantly, you should be able to intervene very, very less. Let the OEM or the IT vendor take care of it directly. That's very, very important. So you need to look out for solutions, which is actually telemetry-driven insights. Now, we have solutions in the market currently available where if you enable those options, something like a pro support from Dell Stable, and along with something called a support assist, what happens right now is the system will probably understand that the hard drive is going to fail in about a couple of days. All right. And what it does is, if you enable the option, it actually triggers a mail directly to, say, the OEM's tech support, Dell tech support. And the engineer understands that, hey, the system has found out that the hard drive is going to crash. So let me proactively send a replacement, and the engineer. And the user who is working on, and suddenly he gets a call from his company saying that, hey, today evening, 4 p.m., there will be a hard drive delivered and you will have an engineer to replace that. Please make sure you back up the data. That's something what we call it as a predictive and proactive support, right? Wherever the user is, it doesn't matter. The user and the IT administrator get to know second, while the machine actually triggers it first. That's an option you have today. So telemetry, understanding all the sensors data, there are hundreds and dozens of sensors which are inside your data. Thermal sensors, IR sensors, light sensors, devices for sensors for each and every component. So there should be a solution which reads all this data and be able to predict that there is going to be a downtime in that device and thereby prevent it before happening. So which actually gives what? It actually makes sure the lights are on, your device is without any kind of a downtime. Otherwise, you'll have to spend more time to replace the device and your employees out of a laptop or a desktop, and it takes 4 or 5 days to get some kind of replacement. So look into for solutions like that. Please stay informed on the hardware usage. IT administrator can get beautiful data today. They can get collect information like how much of hardware is actually being utilized. What is the application performance? Should I actually give him higher, scalable options? Should I replace him to get more productivity out of him? How do I control the issues? So at one fine day, you can log into the dashboard and say, in the last 6 months, how many hard drive replacements have I got done? Right? Such insights will actually help you to make your decisions for the future, procurement or the future IT strategy roadmap for your company as well. And most importantly, to take quick actions, as we spoke about, eliminate all the interruptions and take quick actions, right? So that's what we wanted to cover broadly here. You need to choose the right partner for the workforce transformation who can actually help you to stay competitive. As I said, technology is enabling productivity, be efficient, at the same time, who gives you a positive experience and a 360-degree experience. That is very, very important, right? So that's what you need to look at in the current situation in the market today. I'm going to take a pause and put it back to you guys to see if you have any questions. To summarize quickly, we spoke about how you need to adapt towards modern deployment. How do you need to look into security features at the hardware level? How security is important even at a data level? At the same time, how do you manage the PC over a PC lifecycle, 3 years or 5 years, however you define the role? These are the key challenges today to enable in a remote workplace, and this needs to be comprehensive. I'm suggesting, my recommendation strongly is look out for a partner who's capable of delivering you the solution at one go and who is able to do this proactively and predictively so that your IT department need not interfere much and productivity is all the way throughout and your company goes business as usual and you have a solid BCP in place. Thanks for sharing your time. I'm open to now any questions or any suggestions, any kind of discussions which we can. I'm going to quickly roll back to slide number 1. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Praveen. Thanks for this great insight.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Or should I keep it here?
So
I can keep it here.
So a couple of questions. One is, how does integration of data security, BIOS happen if we already have an ERP system on inventory management running? Is it possible?
Okay, you're talking about security solutions for existing devices. Am I getting the question right?
I think so. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, it can be done. You can, for existing device as well, using your management consoles, probably you will need to adopt a management console solution. It could be a system center for Microsoft. It could be a VMware Workspace ONE or a Citrix or a Landesk solution, anything which is available in the market, preferably from the same vendor where you brought the device, right? So when you do that, you should be able to push new installations, new applications, or existing applications updates or patches from a remote location, from a central locations to all those devices which is connected to your company's network. Now you may be asking, in this case, my employees are not in my office. How do I get them to connect to the company's network? It's possible today to do either through VPN, or it can also be done through a single sign-on solutions already pre-configured. If once you connect to a company network VPN and certify your device, from the next time on, it could be trusted, and the updates can be pushed on directly from the internet. As long as you're connected to the internet, the company should be able to do so. You need to have a central management console.
Right. Thank you. Another question is from Rashmi Mohapatra. Says industries facing issues with tracing the exact solution through order placed to authorized readers having no expertise. So I think she means that industry is facing issues with tracing the exact solution, and the dealers that they get in touch with generally don't provide any solution to them because they don't have the kind of expertise that's required.
Yeah, I agree. And as we say, one size doesn't fit all in terms of the devices. It's true for solutions provider as well. Somebody who will be an expert in the market on one particular solution, maybe he's a right security solution partner, or maybe he's a right networking solution partner. But it's very difficult to get in the market today one partner who can actually do everything for you. That is where probably I would recommend, I'm becoming a salesperson out here, to look for larger OEMs who can enable these kind of solutions at one go. So you need to procure devices from OEMs which is able to give you these solutions out of the box, rather having to procure only the device and then go and scout in the market for 4 different vendors. At this stage, the OEMs are not security solutions manufacturers themselves. Some of them probably wouldn't. But what's important is to select an OEM or a partner who will be able to do the custom factory integration. That's more important. A lot of wonders can be done from the factory level. If I take, for example, if you're a manufacturing company, and if you're using a computer today, and you have your own PCI card or an interface card which you want to plug it in inside the computer, right? You can actually ship out all those cards to the OEM's factory, and we will specifically set up a project for you. What you can actually do is place an order at the factory. People realize that this is possible, and they will plug in your card. Whichever address you give, we will be able to ship it out there directly. And with one click of a power on button, everything is out and ready. So out-of-box solution or pre-installed devices, pre-installed solutions are available today, currently, and that's very, very important. Factory provisioning or factory integration is the key word. That's very important. And then you can have multiple partners to keep you supportive. If you don't have the right skill set to understand those application or solution, you can always employ partners later to probably support you for the life cycle.
Yeah. So I think Praveen, maybe I guess you had a small short video to share as well.
I'm not sure of the video.
Okay. So let me go to the third question.
Yep.
You need to make sense of it. I can't. So let me read it out for you. How to bring in a solution towards the lack of production planning and resource allocation which is there. Is there a system where I can capture rejection analysis on real-time basis? And yes, it must include the security setup.
Okay, so that's a tricky question. I'm not able to relate whether it relates to the enterprise resource planning or the customer relationship management. So when you say production planning, it's more to do with how you manage the manpower, or probably in a project-based deployment. That doesn't really come into the core IT hardware strategy as such, which we are discussing today. There would be definitely, I believe, some other experts in the market who could help you with the planning for production. Basically, when I say production, I probably would like to understand this as employee productivity, right? How do you manage your manpower? If that's the case, then probably this may not be the right forum. We will look it for, but we can definitely check back and come back to you with the right solution.
So Those are the sets of questions, that I had for you. I mean, unless let's give it another minute or so.
Okay. Yes. And I'm just trying to check with any other queries. I'm seeing some queries. If I may voice it out and answer them.
Yeah, please.
Sure. So is it possible that you may change your contract agreement? I'm sorry, I'm not sure of what contract, but let me reframe this question. Are you asking me that if you have a contractual obligations with OEMs such as Dell? Yes, we can. We can have annual vendor licenses where we fix to a contract and we become your contractor for the whole year, or maybe 2 years or 3 years. That's definitely possible. We are now basically onboarded as contractors for a lot of companies today in the market. All right. Okay, that's one question I see. Reorganizing your authorized dealership through proper checking. Okay, so we do have multiple tier partnerships which are enabled. There are, what we call it as exclusive partners, and then we have authorized partners, and then we have registered partners. So if you have any doubt in terms of any specific channel partner, you can always reach out to the Dell, help link. We will be able to help you with the genuinity of a partner who he calls it as a Dell partner, or so we will be able to help you with there. That shouldn't be a problem. And there are several partners in the industry today who are OEM agnostic. I mean, basically they work with multiple OEMs as well. We support everybody.
So Praveen, I had a question. Given the fact that we are kind of addressing MSMEs, so are we looking at some affordable solutions for the SMEs, especially in the current context? When we are going through, when the businesses are going through some tough times, and our members are looking forward to some affordable solutions in the market, and that too from some trusted service providers.
Absolutely, and in fact, we've been doing this in a partnership with several ISVs as well, where we give you scalable options. We believe in scaling as you grow, right? As your companies grow, probably you scale your IT infrastructure accordingly. Industry is currently offering a lot of scalable solutions. Maybe you don't want to invest in a complete data center at one go. You're right now a micro or a small company, and you have about, say, 25 to 50 employees. There could be a solution which right now accommodates 50, but at the same time, which modularly grows towards being 100 or a 500 or 1,000 employee without actually having any kind of interconnectivity problem. Hardware level, at a data center level, there are various solutions which are there. At an application level, which you probably need to buy, I'm just saying, for example, a Microsoft Office. Microsoft is today giving you a lot of scalable options in terms of Office 365, which is mostly on subscription basis. You can start from 10 users or 20 users and 50 users. Now, these Office 365, or probably, let me say, McAfee small business security version, or it could be a Phantom or an Adobe Acrobat Reader, whatever it is, they're all in subscription. And all those softwares, all those applications which you need as a scalable one is available within the device directly from the factory. You don't have to scout it. So this stage, you can call up your IT vendor, or probably say a Dell sales representative, and tell him, hey, I need this device and I need these softwares. And you know what best thing is? Everything has to come out of the box. When you're shipping it out from the factory, it should come directly to my location. And I should be able to renew the subscription as in how I'm growing. That solution is absolutely available to me. Not only Microsoft, but there are several other vendors we've been able to partner with. Zoho.com, for example, or WeWork, everybody's keen. We can incorporate their solutions also at the factory level. That's quite possible today in the industry.
So that was precisely my question. Next question. So are we talking about shipping orders preloaded from the factory, with regards to smaller numbers as well, like 10, 15,
Absolutely.
We are talking about MSMEs here.
Absolutely. One device, every one unit device, you can go for subscription. So Microsoft Office 365, for example, or McAfee small business antivirus, for example, we can even ship one device. It need not be a bulk order. That should be definitely possible.
Okay, that would be helpful, especially to the members from of CII.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
If you see the chat window, it talks about essentially promotional offers. So I'm sure staying competitive. It's an imperative that there would be some promotional offers from all of the trusted service providers this time around. So I think Rashmi, you would have got your answer, and I don't think there's any other questions. So maybe before we wind it off, in case you have any concluding remarks to make, Praveen.
As I said earlier, so it's very, very important, and I can see that from the questions which you are posing to me, is that you are not basically an IT company. You don't probably have the right skill sets within your organization, and it is more or less a capex investment to dedicate a team of professionals to keep the lights on when you're not yet ready or scaled into a big company. Now, in this kind of scenarios, my strong recommendation is you need to be aware of what it takes for actually successful deployment of a remote workplace. As I said, make sure that you encompass a vendor or a partner who actually gives you the complete solution stack, who is able to manage right from the deployment of the device to managing the life cycle. It's almost like a small graphics interface where you can drag and drop options if possible, or possibly you buy, say, for example, 100 200 device, and you say, hey, I need a dedicated technical account manager from your support system. I'm not going to call every time. Let him send me the reports every month or so. So you need to be able to trust. You need to be aware of what it is important. Most importantly, I will strongly urge you to look into the security aspects whenever you're deploying a device. It should not be just an antivirus solution, but the device itself has to be robust. As I said, safe ID or a safe BIOS or safe screen. We have the simplest of the solution available in the industry today. For example, closing the web camera with a physical shutter. Anybody can hack a camera today. It's very important that you close it when it's not in use, so that you don't see that they're actually seeing your keystrokes and key logins, and they're able to recognize your password. So many things are happening in the market. So I'm very vulnerable as well. Take care of it. And most importantly, we wish you all the best to choose the right partner. In case you have any challenges, we are always there in the industry. We've been practicing this for amongst ourselves, tens of thousands of employees, almost 1.2 lakh employees across the world. We enable them to work flexibly in the last 10 years. So there is no better partner than Dell Technologies in the market. But we will be glad to point you to the right direction in case there are some solutions which is not addressed by Dell directly. Right? That's my suggestions. And thank you for giving me this opportunity once again.
Thank you, Praveen. On behalf of CII and the participants, I would like to thank you for sharing this very useful information. I think given the current times, and we are seeing a tremendous migration towards tech adoption, especially in the MSMEs. And it's an imperative given their business continuity, and that's the way to go forward. Also, and so that's about it. Thank you very much. I'm sure there would be some more questions. We will pass it on to them. Or
we can answer them in an email back. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and I'd also request everyone to visit our website. That's www.CITechSaksham.in, and can post their technology requirements to this online portal. Thank you very much. And with this, I bring the session to a close. Thank you.
Thank you.